Welcome to NTN Nightly. I am Janelle Norville. This edition's top stories. St. Lucia welcomes over 500 cruise visitors within days of the return of the cruise industry. The Ministry of Health and Wellness expresses concern over the blatant disregard of protocols at mass crowd events. And the financial institution makes a timely donation to the Stanley John Odlum Memorial School. "545 cruise visitors graced the shores of St. Lucia on Tuesday. 410 visitors arrived on Celebrity Summit into Port Castries, and 135 visitors arrived on Star Breeze's inaugural call, which anchored in Rodney Bay. Star Breeze, a German-built cruise ship owned by Windstar Cruises, will overnight in St. Lucia and depart on the evening of July 14. Visitors to Port Castries were greeted by tourism officials, gifted with branded items and serenaded to the sweet sounds of steel pan music. Jessie Leos was on site and filed this report.
A second and third cruise vessel has visited St. Lucia since the resumption of cruise tourism on island. On Tuesday, 13th July, the Celebrity Summit berthed at Point Seraphim with 410 fully vaccinated passengers, and the Star Breeze of Windstar Cruises anchored in Rodney Bay with 135 passengers on board.
On the 29th of June, when we saw the first cruise ship come through, for some of us it was emotional. And then, additional calls today, Celebrity Cruises, and then we have Star Breeze over at Rodney Bay. A total of 545 visitors on island. I mean, it really speaks well for the cruise sector and the progressive rebound that we're anticipating. July, we're expecting to see some more cruise calls. August is projecting very nicely, and the rest of the year is starting to project very nicely.
That was Doreen Georges, Public Relations Manager at the St. Lucia Tourism Authority. Celebrity Summit passengers disembarked eagerly for a day of island-wide tours and sightseeing in the capital.
It's been a long 18 months for us. We were on the summit on the last voyage, so it was very special for us to be able to come back and cruise again on their second voyage out, and we're happy to be here in St. Lucia. So
what a beautiful place. We're so glad to be here.
What is your name and where are you from?
My name is Angela Oldenburg. I'm from Appleton, Wisconsin.
Wonderful. So tell us, what does this mean to be able to vacation again?
So beautiful to be able to be together with people, with family, and I think we all have a new perspective on things. When you have things taken away from you, you appreciate so much more. Absolutely. When you can get together and do it again. So we're so grateful to be here.
Absolutely. What are your plans for today in terms of excursion?
We're doing the beach break. Okay. Yep. So we're super excited. Okay. And then we're hoping to come back and just walk around a little bit and see the sights.
Because I was hoping that you're going to walk around Castries, the city.
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful.
That's definitely our plan. We were so excited that when we were told we would be able to do that, because when we were in Barbados yesterday, you weren't allowed to go anywhere on your own. Wonderful. You could only do shore excursions with the ship. We're going on an excursion. We're taking a coastal tour on a boat and going and having a little beach time. So we're just glad you guys are open and happy to be back.
Mind me asking, are you fully vaccinated?
Yes, it was required for this ship, so yes. But I was in the education field. I was the director of special education for my school system. I just retired. So it was very important to me to get vaccinated.
We all feel very safe. We've all been vaccinated. We've all been negative tested. So we feel very safe, and we're so grateful to be back and doing this again.
Wonderful. What are your plans for today? Excursions?
Yes, we're going out on a catamaran to see the island and, yes, just experience this beautiful place.
Passengers aboard the Celebrity Millennium fall well within the ship's over 2,000 capacity. Stakeholders nonetheless appreciate the business. General Manager of Foster and Inns Cruise Services in St. Lucia is Ian Herman.
It's a really exciting time to see the resumption of cruises. Most importantly, although the ship carries about 2,100 passengers, to arrive with 400, that is sufficient for us, because it's really the time for us to sort of observe and see what are the loopholes, what are the gaps, and of course to continue to enhance the experience as they come here.
Meantime, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Information and Broadcasting, Donalyn Vitte, is appealing for patience as the sector recuperates.
By no means are we creating an expectation that we will have the sort of spend that we've had before. I mean, we wouldn't be able to accelerate from 0 to 100 so quick, but in doing so, we're asking for the patience of the public. I mean, there will be some vendors who will not get patronized. There will be some persons who even selling with their water coolers on the streets that will not be patronized, some taxi drivers. But the little trickle that we get, just really understand that while you are not able to get the benefit today, that probably your neighbor or your colleague is probably getting that benefit. And so the testing period doesn't bring the immediate explosive rewards that we would like, but the semblance of hope of what is to come is sufficient for us to keep on ensuring that we keep on the pace with the cruise lines executive so that we are able to get more cruise arrivals on the itinerary for the rest of this year.
The Celebrity Millennium will depart Port Castries by the end of Tuesday, while the Star Breeze overnights in St. Lucia for departure Wednesday evening. For the Government Information Service, I am Jessie Leonce reporting.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is expressing concern over the lack of adherence to protocols at mass crowd events. This comes as the ministry has observed an increase in daily COVID-19 cases over the last 14 days, with 114 new cases recorded for that period. The ministry notes an increase in campaign-related activity during that same period. With an average of 7 new cases daily and only 12% of the population fully vaccinated, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belmar-George is sounding an alert to the organizers of events to ensure strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols.
The organizers of these events are reminded to ensure the necessary authorization is granted through the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. All approved activities must be managed as per protocols. It is of grave concern that we note mass crowd activities with no physical distancing, masks not worn or worn inappropriately. The public is reminded that we are still managing a pandemic with over 100 active cases in country with low vaccination coverage. This puts us at high risk for in-country transmission due to large activities without adherence to public health measures.
Dr. Belmar-George reminds the public that people with chronic diseases and compromised immune systems are at a greater risk of developing complications from COVID-19. With the threats of the introduction of new COVID-19 variants and/or a spike in cases, the Ministry of Health projects an increase in hospitalizations and deaths if COVID-19 protocols are not adhered to.
The Ministry of Health appeals to the public to prioritize health and safety at this time and to take all measures to prevent this disease. Vaccination remains the most effective public health measure in managing infectious diseases. St. Lucia, like the rest of the region, has noted that our fully vaccinated people have not been hospitalized nor died from COVID-19 to date. The AstraZeneca vaccine has been proven to be safe and effective in protecting people from developing COVID-19 infection. Particularly severe COVID-19 illness, its complications, hospitalization, and death related to COVID-19. We continue to urge every unvaccinated adult to access the various sites to receive the COVID-19 vaccine at the soonest.
Persons wishing to be vaccinated this week can visit the following sites during the hours of 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Wednesday, July 14, 2021, Denry Mothers Preschool, VG Sports Complex. Thursday, July 15, 2021, Philip Marslake Grounds, VG Sports Complex. Friday, July 16, 2021, Jack Mel Wellness Center and Grozile Human Resource Center. In addition to vaccination, the Chief Medical Officer emphasizes the importance of practicing daily COVID-19 preventative measures. These include regular hand washing, the use of face masks in public, the sanitization of frequently touched surfaces, and avoiding crowds. Individuals are urged to isolate themselves if they are experiencing respiratory symptoms and seek care immediately. The recently convened Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS's assembly, is a deliberative forum that brings together members of parliaments and legislatures of member states, both government and opposition, to discuss matters of concern to the OECS region. 9 of the 11 OECS member states participated in the forum. Prime Minister of Grenada and Chairman of the OECS, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, was one of the participants who addressed the Assembly. The Chairman of the OECS, zoning in on the advancement of regional integration, highlighted its significance to the development of the region.
Regional integration must remain a central policy objectives. We have no choice. Together, we are stronger. Given the devastating impacts of COVID-19 pandemic, volcanic activity, climate change, loss of biodiversity, environmental pollution and degradation, and the attendant socio-economic consequences, we are not to pursue any beggar thy neighbor policies that may benefit one country while putting others at risk. A wiser course of action would be to consolidate and deepen the regional integration movement as a means of adequately addressing the unrelenting economic, social, and environmental challenges and crises that threaten the advancement of regional development.
Dr. Mitchell also noted that the challenges confronting the region do not only affect individual countries, but are interconnected with far-reaching consequences throughout the region. Therefore, he asserted the region must go beyond national boundaries, seeking regional solutions that will aid in propelling regional economic growth and development.
Crises and emergencies, too, are often borderless. Hurricanes, volcanoes, sea level rise, coral bleaching, these are not constrained by geographic boundaries. Therefore, we have to be more courageous, creative, innovative in forging synergies at all levels. It is imperative, therefore, to connect the dots of the regional integration movement. Contrary to the belief of some, adopting a regional approach to development does that cause a loss of national sovereignty, but rather can be an enabler of regional resilience, growth, and development.
Posing a challenge to the OECS Commission, the chairman emphasized that the thrust towards achieving regional integration must be via an all-inclusive approach.
I challenge the OECS Commission to not only look at the deepening the integration of regional governmental architecture, but to pursue approaches that deepen the integration movement among the regional private sector, youth, and other non-state actors, who are also key stakeholders in the process of development. The vision must be a whole of societal approach. We must be creative and fearless in seeking out new opportunities for deepening regional integration, harnessing the power of technology to offer region-wide services, broadening the scope of labor mobility, and making the sub-region one marketplace where trade and services is seamless across borders, and the concept of an OECS citizen will be fully operationalized.
The OECS Assembly convened for its fifth sitting on June 16, 2021. As the sitting coincided with the 40th anniversary of the organization, members of the Assembly reflected on the achievements of the OECS thus far, the benefits of regional cooperation, and the regional integration initiatives still to be realized. The Electronic Management of Information System Department at the Stanley John Adler Memorial School received a well-timed donation of 3 computers from Accel Finance. Principal of the school Neil Fontenelle and coordinator of the department Mr. James accepted the benefaction on behalf of the school. The contribution will assist in furthering the development of many students while minimizing the digital divide in the region. Accel Finance's CEO Samuel Rosenberg reiterated Accel's unwavering commitment to social causes, particularly youth development and education. The microfinance institution seized the opportunity to support the Stanley John Odlum Memorial School by aiding in the improvement of the school's computer lab. Many of the students do not have reliable internet connectivity and home computers to facilitate distant learning. Axel's marketing coordinator Janelle NTN, who made the presentation, stated that given the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent changes to schooling, not many students have been able to adjust due to factors beyond their control. However, she asserted that no child should be left behind. Thus, it is important to provide them with the tools needed to prepare them for a sustainable future.
On behalf of Axel Finance, we would like to present this computer to your IT department. We hope that they will benefit your students immensely. We understand that a lot of them do not have access to a computer at home, and hope that it will help with their studies and their education.
Yes. On behalf of the school, let me just thank you, Axel Finance, for this very well needed donation. We're actually in the process of getting our library together. So we're hoping that we can put one or two of those machines in the library to assist in the online learning. As you know, nowadays the technology has moved away from the people, the books and so on. So now a lot of the libraries are virtual. And we're hoping that we can utilize this. Mr. James, our ENIS coordinator, who is going to be responsible for setting them up. And we're definitely going to put them to good use.
The Stanley John Odlum Memorial Secondary School located in Marigot, Castries, has a student population of 270, with approximately 60% of the students hailing from Marigot and its neighboring communities. One CARICOM member state is calling for the inclusion of women in the decision-making processes and response to COVID-19. We get details from CARICOM News Times to Sanking English Francis.
While the COVID-19 pandemic has wreaked havoc on women's lives and they have been on the front lines of the response as nurses and healthcare workers, they are noticeably absent in recovery committees and processes. Minister of Social Services and Urban Development of the Bahamas, the Honorable Frankie Campbell, made this observation in his address on Thursday, the 3rd of June, as chair of the 40th meeting of the Council for Human and Social Development, COSOD.
We should ensure that women are included in the response and recovery decision-making, whether at the local, municipal, or national levels. This inclusive approach, coupled with transformational measures such as gender-responsive budgeting, will lead to better outcomes for all of our societies.
At the meeting, CARICOM ministers with responsibility for gender issues agreed to implement gender-sensitive responses and support programs and partnerships to address the special needs of women and other vulnerable populations impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic.
This is NTN Nightly. Up next, Primus Hutchinson with the NTN Nouvelle Creole.
COVID-19 is a new pandemic disease as declared by the World Health Organization. It is transmitted directly by respiratory droplets when an infected person coughs or sneezes, or indirectly through rubbing the face with contaminated hands. There is still no specific treatment or vaccine against COVID-19, and as such, the farming community should adhere to some special recommendations. Ensure that farm clothing and gear is clean. Wash hands thoroughly before harvesting crops. Use face masks and head ties whilst harvesting, cleaning, and packaging crops. Use all safety precautions when transporting crops to the markets and depots, such as handling crates and crops with only clean hands and covering sneezes and coughs with a tissue or the inner arm to ensure body fluids or droplets don't get on produce, and washing hands or using hand sanitizer after using the tissue. More than ever before, your important role as gatekeepers of St. Lucia's nutritional, health, and food security should be taken seriously. When you exercise these precautions, you not only safeguard your health, but also continue to allow all St. Lucians access to freshly grown fruits, vegetables, and other local crops. Remember, it is our responsibility to ensure our nation eats fresh, St. Lucia's best.
Welcome back. We join Primus Hutchinson for the NTN Nouvelle à Creole.
Merci autant, Janelle. Merci Madame Département, qui est responsabilité pour information à gouvernement cette lucie, ça c'est GIS, ça me puis télévision nationale pays NTN, qui présente une nouvelle à Creole, présente Primus Hutchinson. Chef officier médical à département santé, cette lucie, Dr. Sharon Belma George, très concerné des grandes quantités de monde qui a semblé et comblé durant activité politique à ces diverses communes et Paris en pays. Dr. Belma George fait un appel pour ces organisateurs, ces activités ça là, pour faire assurer de trouver autorisation de police pays. Si un mois fait comprendre que toute activité n'est pour opérer à bas ménagement protocole. Dr. Belma George dit que le département santé très concerné des grandes quantités de gaïmoun qui a semblé à Pagal, soit observé 6 pieds de distance, sans masque à Sophie Jai, et bien si on y ces masques là, il n'y a pas même qu'à porter bien à façon supposée. Dr. Belma George déclaré qu'il y a aperçu à ces 14 jours qui passaient une augmentation de maladie corona qui a enregistré tous les jours et le département santé qui a continué pour ménager maladie corona. En total de 5410 cas trouvés découverts en pays depuis le mois de mars 2020 pour le présent, et 50 personnes déjà trépassées par maladie corona et 36 en résultat de maladie corona. Selon Dr. Belma George, pour 14 jours qui passaient, il a trouvé ou apporté 114 cas et l'année 125 cas corona qui est actifs présentement à cette liste. Depuis le 9 juillet, un total de 31 286 individus recevront première dose de la vaccine, pendant 22 569 recevront toutes les deux doses là. Selon Dr. Belma George, mais c'est seulement 12% en population cette liste qui prend la vaccine. Si moi a déclaré que j'ai découvert c'est plus de monde qui a souffert de mauvaise maladie qui plus en risque pour trouver maladie corona et que ça a trépassé à résultat de ça. Ça c'est raison le ministère de la Santé qui a fait un grand appel pour le public là prendre plus de précautions pour santé. C'est pour raison qui fait le ministère de la Santé qui a encouragé le public là pour prendre la vaccine parce que c'est aussi excellent ces pays en région, c'est la région Caraïbe là qui a trouvé la vaccine, pièce monde pour encore aller à l'hôpital et pièce pour encore mort au résultat de la maladie corona. Dr. Belma George qui a plaidé et puis le public là pour prendre dose de la vaccine et aussi qui a encouragé la famille et pour encourager la famille, amis, collègues et même commune et paroisse pour protéger yon à l'autre. C'est moi qui a fait public là savent que c'est ici à bas ménagement corona toujours et l'année plus qui yon sans cas maladie en pays et nous en haut risque pour nous trouver corona toujours parce que majorité cette ici pour qu'on trouver dose de la vaccine. En parlant de ça, Pharmacy People's Discount Drugs a trouvé à un gymnase et puis le ministère de la Santé pour faire assurer de trouver la vaccine pour clients. Tech Baptiste, qui est responsable pour le programme la vaccine à cette liste, applaudit l'initiative là et croit que ça peut tuer une meilleure occasion pour cette liste trouver la vaccine dans un environnement qui est confortable. Jean-Baptiste fait comprendre collaboration ça là entre Pharmacy People's Discount Drugs et le ministère de la Santé. C'est un qui est très important pour faire la vaccine available pour la population. Ça là aussi est très important que les gens qui ont trouvé la vaccine, côté ça aussi trouvé assistant médical. Il dit aussi toute médecine de l'air qui a affecté les gens à des manières et l'autre. Alors c'est une situation côté ça peut faire un cas senti timide drôle de l'air, mais il a encouragé tout le monde pour prendre la vaccine, pas seulement pour la famille, mais l'autre monde aussi parce que ça trouvé affecté et porter maladie en caillou pour la famille trouvé. Service la vaccine en Pharmacy People's Discount Drugs qui est tous les jeudis, ça c'est à la rue Saint-Louis, depuis 9h du matin pour 4h après-midi. Le ministère de la Santé a encouragé l'autre pharmacie pour participer pour faire service la vaccine available pour toutes. Les cultivateurs, ça c'est les farmers qui ont cultivé pour cailler avec la famille seulement, en ligne pour trouver assistance pour dommages dans le souffert durant le passage cyclone Elsa. Durant une discussion avec le ministre des Affaires agriculture, honorable Ezekiel Joseph, moment de est-ce que cette pharmacie là qui a trouvé considération en bas programme assistance pour dommages cyclone Elsa parce que c'est yo ka cultiver seulement pour cailler avec la famille.
Les officers là ils posent à considération et puis des sacs sel dos sacs si long donc à bailler sel et puis bailler quand si long sous sous ni des écoles ou quand sel pour des écoles sous 5 écoles ou quand sel pour 5 c'est ça nous ça nous avons.
Merci autant monsieur ministre.
Ces fameuses l'année pour moi voulais dire avant nous fermer ces fameuses l'année pour joindre puis extension officer c'est pas ministère qui a bailler ici pour au ministère qui a dit qui ça farmers c'est officers là les fait investigation c'est aussi officers pour venir à les femmes d'autres farmers et puis farmers où ça a venir une responsabilité pour IoT extension officer et puis dire mi un dommage venir voir femmes et puis mettez moi la liste là.
Eh bien ça c'était la voix ministre là qui a une responsabilité pour agriculture la pêche coopérative ça c'est honorable Ezekiel Joseph l'année 5 millions de dollars en place pour assister les femmes qui souffrent à bas cyclone Elsa. C'est comme ça nous avons une nouvelle là. Je vais remercier autant pour regarder. Je vais avoir une invitation pour je vais encore conserver la vie. Et je vais présenter une nouvelle. Accueillir la présent. Je vais présenter au Chanel.
Merci Appeal Primus. And that brings us to the end of NTN Nightly. Join us next time at 7 p.m. with a repeat at 7 a.m. You can also catch up with us anytime on the St. Lucia Government Facebook page or YouTube channel. I am Janelle Norville.